I made a video on finance temperament, that's knowing who you are financially. I made another video on the 5 finance principles you need to secure your world. If you haven't watched these videos, please take some time and watch these videos, because if you can identify who you are financially, you are actually going to know how to set these principles to secure your world for yourself, and you're going to be able to understand what I'll be talking about today, because I'm going in detail. I am going to be examining all the 5 finance principles I talked about in my last video, and I'm going to begin with budgeting. So our topic for today is establishing effective budgeting tips to help you set the perfect finance principles. What do I mean by a budget? We hear and use this word a lot. A budget, in simple terms, is a financial plan that outlines what you are going to do with the resources that you have. So you're simply stating out what you're going to do with this amount of money on this aspect. This amount of money will be handled by or for this aspect. So in simple terms, that is a budget. So what's the first thing that we need to consider when we want to do effective budgeting? First, we have to set goals, and we have to ensure that these goals are supposed to be realistic. Okay, you cannot be earning a salary of 250,000, for example, and you want to live the life of someone who actually spends like 3.5 million a month, except you plan to steal, because it's not possible. Okay, so the first, you set objectives that are realistic. Once you set the goals that are realistic based on your earnings, the second point is to track your spending. Let's say you earn a salary of 500,000 francs and your rents cost 150, your transport fare about, your upkeep, not the like you should be able to outline them, track them, list them. You should be able to know that this is the amount of money that you spend on so and so expense. Um, if you have the tendency of forgetting, it's always good to make sure that your transactions are not cash based. Okay, like maybe use your card to do most of your transactions, or you can use the mobile transfers, so that at the end of a period you can be able to sit back and go through your transaction history for the month and know what you're doing. In the case of probably paying taxi or going to the market, I mean, you may not have the exact figure. This is for somebody who is very forgetful, but you should be able to be close to the reality at least. Okay, that's what tracking your expenses is all about. Then, my third point, you cut off unnecessary spending. Remember, in the beginning, you set a goal, and if you're able to track your expenses and you see that at the end of the day you may not be able to attain your goal, remember that it's only this goal that is going to be your only motivating factor to track your expenses and do all of the other things that I'm going to share with you. The goal only. If you don't have a goal, you may not be disciplined to be able to put all of this right up to the end. So where was I? Cut off unnecessary expenses. Okay. If you see that you're doing shopping for instance, you're shopping for clothes and shoes. You can't do that every month. I mean, come on. You can decide that maybe every 3 months you can go for shopping. Remember, we have an objective, okay? I'm not against people who want to live life now, those who want to spend their money because life is short. No, I'm not against that. But we are working on an objective. You can buy all those things for yourself, but you need to be able to program it. Okay, so you cut off unnecessary expenses. If you go clubbing, maybe every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you might decide that okay, you're going to go clubbing only on Friday and Saturday for a start. Okay, you try to save up some money, so you cut off all those unnecessary expenditures to enable you to see exactly where you are going. The next point is prioritize your savings. Okay, remember we just cut off our expenditures because we are heading somewhere. You had a goal in the beginning is to save up for something, an event, to acquire a property, for something. So you need to make your savings a priority. There is this 50, 30, 10%, no, 50, 30, 20% rule, which I have read about. Okay. I would like to say that it is a good practice, but I'm not an advocate of maybe someone sticking to that depending on your objective. So you apply that depending on your objective. So if you see that your expenditure is not up to 50%, if you see that you don't spend up to 50% of what you earn, don't force yourself to spend 50% of what you earn. Don't acquire more expenses just because you're trying to live the 50, 30, 20 rule. And if you have the opportunity to save more than 20% of your earning, then I'm rooting for you to do that. You can save more than 20%, fine. We can have an objective to buy a car at the end of the year, but if you can be able to save up for your rent, probably for a quarter of the year without depending on your income for the year that's coming, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. So you need to prioritize your saving. Use whichever formula you need to use to set your savings right. It could be 50, 30, 20. It could be based on exactly tracking and cutting off expenses, and you see that okay, this amount is left, and you're going to make sure you save just the amount, even if the amount is 40% of your ending. The goal is to go big on your savings. Our next point is stay disciplined. This is the most difficult this is the most difficult part of every exercise, and nobody wants to hear it. But I'm here to remind you that nothing comes easy. I don't think there's anything in this world that doesn't require your discipline. I don't think. So why don't you apply that same energy and discipline to your budget as well? I mean, it's very important to stay disciplined. If you're disciplined, you're going to be able to master all these tips that I have put together, and you're going to be able to find better ways of survival. Okay, the economy could be going really bad in a few years, and your savings could be able to support you to meet up one or two. So it's really, really important to stay disciplined. And the last and the most important point after putting all of this together is to create a budget. You don't create a budget in your mind, but you can write it out. There are applications that have been made very easy for you to be able to have a budget on your phone. You could download those budgets. Sometimes it's good to be able to have a picture of all these tips put together. Like you should have a picture of what it's going to look like, not just saying, oh, you spend 50,000 on fuel or this amount of this, but you're not able to have a visual picture and representation and see the additions, the subtractions, and the math. It could be anything. For a beginning, it could be just on a piece of paper, it could be on Excel, it could be on anything. But there are finance apps on the App Store or Play Store. You can download any of them and they'll help you. In my next video, I'm going to be showing you how to establish a personal budget using any or the easiest methods I find, so that you can better understand what it means to be effective when it comes to budgeting. I hope this video meant a lot to you today. Please, as the song goes, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, so when I drop my next video, you're definitely going to be the first to know. Until next time, remember to prioritize your savings. Yes.